Over time, the city was a glittering tapestry of light against the velvet dark. But on the 14th floor of the Omnicorp Tower, the world had gone quiet. Here, in a sterile modern tomb of glass and steel, a single island of light pulsed in a vast sea of shadow. This was Alex's desk. It was 9:15 p.m. The air was thick with the hum of his computer and the stale scent of cold coffee. Spreadsheets bled across his monitor, a complex web of numbers that had to be tamed and translated by morning. He was an analyst, a good one, but the grind was wearing him down to a nub. He rubbed his tired eyes, the blue light of the screen painting his face in ghostly hues. His phone buzzed softly. A text from Maya, his one coworker, who seemed to understand the concept of a work-life balance. "You still there? Go home, Alex? The report can wait?" He managed a weak smile and typed back a lie. "Almost done. Henderson wants it by 8 a.m. See you tomorrow." Knew the report couldn't wait, not if he wanted to stay in Henderson's good graces. He put the phone down and returned to the numbers. The frantic clack, clack, clack of his keyboard, the only sound in the cavernous room. That's when he heard it. A soft, deliberate squeak from deep within the darkened cubicle farm. His fingers froze over the keys. He held his breath, listening. The office was silent again, the rows of empty chairs like hunched, sleeping figures. "Hello?" he called out, his voice small. "Security?" Only the low hum of the building answered. He shrugged it off. "Air conditioning, the building settling." He put on his headphones, cranked up some focus music, and tried to lose himself in the work again. A moment later, a shrill, piercing ring shattered his concentration. He ripped his headphones off, his heart hammering against his ribs. It was his desk phone, a relic rarely used. The caller ID was a string of impossible zeros. He stared at it, a primal sense of wrongness crawling up his spine, and let it go to voicemail. The ringing stopped. The silence that rushed back in felt heavier, more menacing than before. With a trembling hand, he pressed the voicemail button. A beep, then a long drawn-out hiss of static, like a radio caught between worlds. From within the noise, a faint, distorted whisper slithered into his ear, glitching as if the sound itself was broken. Deadline. Alex slammed the receiver down. "Okay, that's not funny," he said to the empty room, his voice betraying a tremor. He stood up, his skepticism now locked in a desperate battle with a rising tide of dread. He needed a break. He walked towards the kitchen, his footsteps echoing unnaturally on the polished floor. The motion sensor lights flickered on one by one as he passed, illuminating his path in cold, fluorescent bursts. As he stepped into the kitchen, the lights behind him clicked off in sequence, plunging the path he'd just walked back into darkness. He splashed cold water on his face from the sink, his breath coming in ragged bursts. He looked up, catching his reflection in the polished chrome of the coffee machine. For a horrifying split second, the face staring back was not his own. It was a gaunt, hollow-eyed man, his features twisted in a mask of utter despair, the image glitching like a corrupted file before vanishing. Alex stumbled back, his heart seizing. He blinked, looked again. It was just him, his own tired, pale face. Stress, he told himself. Lack of sleep, that's all. Screw the report, he muttered. It was time to go. He walked back to his desk, a new urgency in his step. But his spreadsheet was gone. In its place, his monitor displayed a single, massive document. It was filled with one word, repeated over and over, a digital chant of madness. Overdue, 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 overdue. He stared in horror, frantically jiggling the unresponsive mouse. The keyboard was dead. Across the room, the office printer whirred violently to life, spitting out pages at a furious pace. They fluttered to the floor like fallen leaves. Drawn by a morbid curiosity, Alex approached the machine. He picked up a sheet. It wasn't the overdue document. It was an old employee file, dated from the 90s. The photo showed a wary-looking man named Silas Croft. Alex's eyes scanned the page until they landed on 2 words. Status: deceased. Cause of death: acute myocardial infarction. Location of death: desk 14B. A wave of ice-cold dread washed over him. He slowly looked up from the paper to the small metal plate on his own cubicle wall. 14B. He was sitting at a dead man's desk. He dropped the paper and ran. He sprinted to the elevators, mashing the down button with the heel of his hand. Didn't light up. The elevator was dead. Panicked. He threw himself at the heavy fire door to the stairwell. Didn't budge, as solid and unmoving as a wall of rock. Help, he screamed, his voice swallowed by the immense silent office. Somebody help me. He was trapped. He pulled out his phone. No service. The office Wi-Fi had vanished. Defeated, he turned back to face the room, and his blood ran cold. Every single computer monitor in the office had switched on, bathing the space in a hellish blue-white glow. Each screen showed a different face, distorted by static, mouths open and silent, glitching screams. A high-pitched electronic shriek built from the dozens of speakers, a symphony of digital agony. And in the center of the room, it began to form. It coalesced from the shadows and the flickering light, a tall, thin figure composed of visual static and dark energy. It had the vague shape of a man in a suit, but its limbs twitched and jittered unnaturally. This was the figure, the ghost of Silas Croft. Its voice was a horrifying composite of office sounds, keyboard clicks, dial tones, fax machine whines, and static. Can't. Leave, it rasped. The ... report ... is ... overdue. Alex scrambled backward, tripping over a chair and crawling away as the entity glided toward him, its movements jerky and inhuman. Cornered near his desk, he looked up at the thing that was once Silas Croft. Its face was a vortex of swirling static with 2 points of burning light for eyes. "They forget," the figure hissed, pointing a glitching, elongated finger at Alex's chest. "They ... always ... forget. You ... work ... you. Die. Will ... finish ... my ... work. You ... stay. Just ... like ... me." In that moment, Alex saw it all. He looked at the terrifying ghost, then at his desk, the cold coffee, the endless numbers, the motivational posters preaching a gospel of burnout. He saw his own future in Silas's tragic past. The fear was still there, a cold stone in his gut, but now it was mixed with a hot, defiant anger. A single word escaped his lips, shaking but firm. No. The figure's head cocked, the static in its face swirling faster. "I'm not you," Alex yelled, pushing himself to his feet. "I'm not going to die at this desk for a report they'll forget by Tuesday. My life is more than this." With a primal scream of rage and liberation, he grabbed his heavy work laptop. Cannot ... escape ... the ... line, the ghost rasped. "Watch me." Alex roared and swung the laptop like a bat. smashing it into his monitor. The screen exploded in a shower of glass and plastic. The figure convulsed, letting out a piercing electronic screech, as if it had been struck itself. The light on all the other monitors flickered and died. Alex didn't stop. He brought the ruined laptop down again and again, smashing the desk phone, the keyboard, every symbol of his servitude. He grabbed a heavy-duty stapler and hurled it at the main server rack in the corner. It hit with a loud bang and a shower of sparks. All at once, the building's power cut out. The office was plunged into absolute darkness, save for the faint green glow of the emergency signs. The figure let out one final, fading digital scream and dissolved into nothing. Silence. Then, a loud clang echoed from across the room. The emergency exit door had swung open. Alex dropped the broken laptop and ran, not daring to look back. He stumbled out of the building into the cool, early morning air. The sun was just beginning to crest the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. He was exhausted, terrified, but he was alive, and he was free. 1 week later, Alex sat in a bright coffee shop, sketching in a notebook. A was dressed in a simple t-shirt and jeans, the dark circles under his eyes finally gone. His phone buzzed on the table. The caller ID read, Maya. He looked at it, a flicker of the old fear in his eyes, then took a breath and pressed ignore. He took a sip of his coffee and smiled, a genuine, relieved smile, watching people walk by in the warm daylight. Back on the 14th floor of the Omnicorp Tower, the office was bright and bustling. Alex's old desk, 14B, was now occupied by a new, eager analyst. Her boss, Henderson, walked by and dropped a thick binder on her desk. "Welcome aboard," Henderson said with a thin smile. "I'm going to need you to get this analysis done by Monday morning. Might require a little overtime this weekend." The new employee's smile faltered for just a second. "No problem," she said, her voice bright with ambition. "I'm on it." As she began to type, the camera of her new webcam flickered. For a single, imperceptible frame, her reflection in the dark screen was not alone. Behind her stood a tall, shadowy figure, its form glitching like a bad signal. And in the silent air of the office, a single, impossible whisper could almost be heard. Deadline.
To support this channel, please like this video and subscribe the channel.